Today, some convicted workers woke up in Alabama, left their minimum security facility, and went to work in the free world unsupervised by any corrections officers. They're called minimum out inmates, and the Department of Corrections is putting them in government positions across the state to learn job skills and make money. But a convicted murderer escaped just last month, and a Tennessee Valley woman is concerned her mother's murderer could be next. WFF 48's Chris Joseph is at the North Alabama Community Work Center just outside of Decatur, where that man's being held. Chris, how does the state put convicted murderers in a public job unsupervised?
Yeah, Kim, it's a complex process of interviews, psychological evaluations, and looking at the inmates' prior criminal history. But ultimately, the department has discretion as to where they put the inmate, even if that means it's outside of correctional supervision. I spoke to one grieving daughter who says that's just not good enough.
No. Come here. Come here.
Tiffany Carlisle lost her mom 14 years ago.
I think about her a lot. Think about what she's missed.
No weddings, no Christmases, and no grandkids. Curtis Anderson pled guilty to the murder of Tanya Peavy in 2008, robbing Tiffany's family of a loved one. A media report from the time says he shot Peavy and then left the body behind in an abandoned building.
Just dumped her like trash.
He's now a minimum out inmate, meaning he leaves the North Alabama Community Work Center to go to a government job somewhere in the valley, with no correctional officer supervision. The department describes minimum out inmates as individuals who do not pose a significant risk to self or others. Carlisle says that's unacceptable, given her mother's treatment.
Yeah, there were several domestic violence incidents. Actually, the day before it happened, she had left him and came to my house, and there was 63 missed calls on our home phone where he was just calling repeatedly, wanting her to come back home.
Anderson faced a domestic violence charge for hitting and choking Peavy in 2004, but she declined to prosecute. He's got 5 other guilty pleas, including possession of cocaine, resisting arrest, and multiple DUIs. I reached out to the Department of Corrections for comment. They agreed to meet here at the Criminal Justice Center in Montgomery for an off-camera interview. Associate Commissioner Steve Watson says he has absolute confidence in the department's classification system, which includes an intense scrutiny of each inmate. He says the government employees who supervise them are trained and retrained to handle inmates. Last fiscal year, the department reported 4 escapes from minimum security, with 3 of them being from the North Alabama facility where Anderson is currently being held. Just last month, a murder convict escaped minimum custody in Montgomery, a horror Carlisle says the ADOC should consider.
What would be your message to the Department of Corrections?
To put themselves in the victim's family shoes. If that was their mother, their sister, their aunt, whoever, they wouldn't want to ever face it again.
Watson says the department has no plans to adjust minimum security supervision. Now, Watson says he hates the fact that Carlisle's family is grieving, but backs the criteria that puts Anderson where he is tonight.
Chris, did he say why the department is comfortable giving any convicted murderer an opportunity to leave the facility?
Yeah, departmental policy says convicted murderers or those who are convicted of attempted murder can be in minimum security if they're within 3 years of the end of their sentence or potential parole date. The idea is that minimum security acts as a transition between prison life and the real world. In Morgan County, Chris Joseph, WAFF.